Hello there and welcome to Brian Womack's Movie Talk and welcome to my ranking of the 2017 superhero movies. Yeah, we've had 8 that I can count that were kind of theatrically released, big live action things. I'm not going to count things like your DC straight-to-video animated movies, even though there were some pretty good ones out this year. But yeah, 8 films. Let's see how they do. Number 8 is Power Rangers. Yeah. Never really been a big Power Rangers fan. I think this film probably does about as good as you can do for the audience they were trying to reach. It's not great, but it kind of feels like High School Musical crossed with something else. Not my bag. I know some people liked this. Some people thought it was a really good adaptation of the series, but I was never a fan of the series, so I guess I'm just the wrong audience for it. Number 7 is SpiderMan Homecoming. For me, this is the first truly disappointing Marvel movie. I think it's got a tremendous villain, which is really bizarre, isn't it? It's really bizarre, the fact that Marvel actually get a villain right. They get a good villain. It's just a shame they cock up the rest of the film. I'm not really enamoured with Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I was in Civil War. The little bit we got of him in Civil War, but the humour in this film just felt so forced. Like I could see the jokes coming, the punchlines coming to the jokes before they came, and I barely laughed throughout this film. But like I say, I was really entertained by Michael Keaton as the Vulture. He's the saving grace of it for me. I don't know, maybe if I give it a second watch, things might change. But as it stands, it was a fairly big disappointment for me, I must say. Number 6 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. First time I watched this film, loved it. Had such an amazing experience with it. I came out elated. I was just on a high from how entertained I was. And then I watched it the second time when I bought it on Blu-ray, and it was like a really big drop. Like not to the point where I hate this film or anything, but I was really surprised by how much of a drop off there was. Whereas with the first film, that's always gone up. I didn't enjoy the first film first time around as much as most people, but with each subsequent viewing, it's kind of gone up in my estimation until now I'm like, that's a 5-star film. Whereas this kind of started off as something like a 5-star film, and it has dropped off considerably. I'm still entertained by it, still love these characters, but I think it was just a little overblown, too much humour. And as my good friend Luke from Razor Wire Reviews pointed out, there's a moment in this film which should have been allowed to breathe, should have been allowed to have, to be the gut punch that it was, but it's snatched away by humour, by jokes, yet again. Number 5 is the Batman Lego Movie. This is one of them films where, quite frankly, doesn't have any right to be as good as it is, as with the original Lego Movie. You know, when that Lego Movie was announced, people were like scratching their heads thinking, really pushing it now, really stretching it, like desperate for ideas. But that film came out and it was just hilarious. You know, Miller and Lord did an absolutely fantastic job with that. And so yeah, do that to Batman, who was a standout character anyway in that film. Give him his own film. Can it work? Can he sustain his own feature-length proper Lego movie? Answer is yes, he can. This film is hilarious for Batman fans and non-Batman fans. It's kind of a love letter to Batman. If you're a fan, you get all the little in-jokes, and if you're not a fan, some of those in-jokes I think are going to go over your head, but you're still going to enjoy it because there's still plenty of humour, plenty of nice little action beats. And it's just, the detail, the attention to detail, so many different things going on in the background. It's one of them films where I think on repeated viewings, you're going to see little things that you didn't see before. I love it. Absolutely brilliant. And number 4 is Thor Ragnarok. Another Marvel movie. Probably it is the best Marvel movie as far as I'm concerned of this year. It still has problems, still really laying it on thick with the humour, like overboard. It's just, everything's about the humour now with Marvel. not many dark moments allowed to kind of peep through. And even certain scenes that should be emotional, should carry real emotional weight, when certain characters, exit the MCU, you should feel that, and you don't with this film. With one scene in particular, I just felt, oh, okay, fair enough. Let's get back to the jokes, and that's, is what it is, isn't it? That's Marvel. The villain again, really strong, a really weak villain, I should say. You come off the back of that really strong villain in SpiderMan Homecoming. Unfortunately, not a great film. And then you have a really, it's like if Cate Blanchett was not playing the villain in this, it literally wouldn't make any impact at all. She's got nothing to work with, but she manages to do at least something. She's Cate Blanchett, of course. But yeah, if Marvel could just sort the villains out, man, they'd be 5-star all the way. But there you go. And number 3 is Wonder Woman. Brilliant film. For many people, this is the best film in the DCEU. For me, not so much, but it's still a cracking film. There's very little I could find wrong with this. I think some of the CGI towards the end gets a little bit out of hand, but the character is so well drawn. Really good to have that proper female perspective, having a female behind the camera, in the director's chair. And Gal Gadot, it proved everyone wrong. Everyone slagging her off when she got cast for Batman v Superman. And yeah, she's just completely blown all the naysayers out of the water. She's made this character her own. Linda Carter who is all I can say. Brilliant film, love it, and just, for me, yet another reason why the DCEU is so good. I know a lot of people don't share that sentiment, but for me it is. I prefer the darker tone, I prefer the more serious storylines, and I do genuinely feel like they have more to say. Their films feel like they are about something other than just heroes going on a journey and telling jokes. Not to get into a Marvel versus DC thing, but hey ho, there you go. And number 2 is Logan. This is a really great film. It's an R-rated film, and it's not. It doesn't get the R rating just for being, well, like Deadpool. It's kind of gross out humour, a lot of really bad jokes. I don't mean bad as in that's not a funny joke. I mean like bad as in you cannot tell that to your children. This is really serious. It's a dark story. It's a very powerful story, I think, about two people, Professor X and Logan, coming to the end of the road. Getting to the to the finish line, so to speak. And what does that mean for them? What does that mean for the world without them? And it's just a really brilliant film and a great look at old age. You think about how in this film you got Logan caring for Professor X. I'm sure many people out there will know what that's like, to have someone in the family who needs constant care, is getting into later years and becomes disabled as a result. I personally know what that is like, and so to see that reflected within the comic book superhero genre was quite, for me, was quite special. Again, making these films about something, putting something a bit heavier in there, it just elevates them that little bit more, I think. And so, unless you've not been paying attention, my number one choice, obviously, is going to be Justice League. And I know people are going to be shouting at the screen right now saying, how on earth can you put this above Logan? How on earth can you put this above Wonder Woman? But what can I say? I went into this film with no expectations. I did have some expectations. I expected that people were going to savage it. It's got Zack Snyder's name on the credits. There's been a lot of production troubles and difficulties and things. I think people were already sharpening their knives. But I went in, I just ignored that. I wanted to see what this film was like. And what can I say? I had fun with this from start to finish. As a fan of Batman, a huge fan of Batman, and as a fan of the rest of these DC characters, I am more of a DC guy than a Marvel guy. I openly admit that. This just ticked the boxes. Is it the film we should have got? No, it's not. And would I rather see Zack Snyder's cut? Of course I would. Let's look at BVS, you know. He got savage for BVS, and yet when his cut, the proper cut, the ultimate cut was released, for me at any rate, it washed away a lot of the problems, a lot of the criticisms that people had with that theatrical cut, proving it's not Snyder, it's the studio. And again, I think the blame with this film, if there is any blame to be laid, you know, because a lot of people are slagging it off, a lot of people got criticisms, it's not Snyder, it's the studio. As it happens, I do like this film. I like it a lot. I've put it on my #1 spot in this list because I just had so much fun. I loved these characters. I liked the dynamics between them all. I think they do enough to give each character their own personality. I never got bored throughout the whole time I was watching it. And some of the films on this list, I got to say, there were moments here and there where I did. Whereas here, I just didn't, you know, start to finish, I was engrossed, I was entertained, and it just, yeah, it made me feel like a child again, you know, that child who had that love of comic books and what he got out of them. So, yeah, this is my #1 choice, no apologies, but I definitely want to see that Snyder cut. That is my list, my ranking of the comic book, well, not necessarily comic book, but superhero movies of 2017. But what are your choices? And are there any films that I've missed that should be on this list that I've not mentioned? If so, comment below, let me know what they are. Thank you for watching, and until next time, cracking.